Trace? Yeah, he's going speed limit-ish. Looks like he's getting off. Oh, Florence.
road conditions, direction of travel, speed, cross traffic, which is very important for the officers because the officers in the pursuit can then focus on the suspect vehicle and their surroundings, and they're basically doing what they're trained to do. It takes a huge load off of them.
So if this suspect kind of finds his way over into East LA or an area where there might be, let's say, sheriff's jurisdiction, perhaps you would be better prepared with more personnel to put themselves into place to tactically try to pull something like a spike strip.
Correct. You're 100% correct on this case, David. However, the sheriffs would have to basically be requested. They cannot take independent action. So Southgate or Bell, I'm not sure which agency is in pursuit still, but they would have to request the sheriffs to deploy a spike strip under mutual aid. They're just not, the sheriffs are not just going to come in and take it over.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So this takes a lot of coordination. Do you train for these things? Because there's obviously a lot of handing off, going back and forth. How do you know how to do that?
It's all through training. Mutual aid is a great tool. The agency's interagency cooperation, we'll call it. Most agencies are governed by POST, which is the Peace Officer Standard and Training Division in the state of California. So everybody kind of has the same pursuit policies. So they're very, very familiar with each other. Okay,
so just to give our viewers some idea on how many places this person has been, it began with Bell PD. It was just a failure to yield, but then he took off, and when we saw the gun thrown out of the vehicle, obviously that became much more serious. And here he is coming into an intersection, taking a right-hand turn. He still remains in Southgate, East Los Angeles. But from Bell to Southgate to Vernon to Huntington Park to East Los Angeles to Los Angeles, onto the 710 freeway, where he took off for quite some time. Then he wound his way all the way back down to Southgate, which is where we see him now. And he's just been mainly surface streets on the freeway for a little while, but he seems more comfortable being down there on surface streets. You see the sun gun on him, so he's illuminated to some degree, but you'll notice no lights are on, and so that makes it particularly dangerous. Bruce, Friday night, when the weather starts warming up like this, it's a full moon. Obviously, this is not a surprise that we have a pursuit going on tonight.
Yeah, I'll go with that, David. The nice thing is with the helicopter, with the night sun, they are also trying to warn other drivers, especially with this vehicle being blacked out. So maybe they come up to an intersection, they can shine the night sun on that intersection. Hopefully people will see it, maybe slow down or realize there's something coming. It seems that he does pick up speed greatly on some of the main streets. Here he was a street he was just on, going the wrong way on Randolph, and now he came back. So he's kind of in the same area again, as you said.
Santa Fe Avenue right now, and here he is taking a right on East Slauson Avenue. He remains in the Southgate, East Los Angeles area. A good shot right there of, oh, he turned his lights on. So that's really interesting because his behavior has been odd. It's been erratic. Every now and then he'll turn his lights on, then he turns them off. We did actually see him, Bruce, driving at one point several blocks with his door open, and he seems to be often playing a cat and mouse game with officers where he's driving along, he kind of fakes like he's going to take a turn, and then he'll take off straight again. But the door open was a bit of odd behavior because he was moving fairly fast, but the door remained open. Not sure what he was trying to accomplish there, but we have seen some strange behavior from this driver.
Yeah, you know, David, what we've seen in the last couple of pursuits and pursuits we've seen for years is there's no rhyme or reason. Some are running because they have a suspended license. Some are running because they have outstanding warrants. In this case, he tossed a weapon out of the car. So you've got carrying a concealed weapon, a loaded firearm in a vehicle with the climate going right now. He's probably not going to spend a lot of time in jail, unfortunately, but they play this cat and mouse game with law enforcement, and it's very, very frustrating to the officers in the pursuit.
That is interesting about you mentioning jail time, because we never really talk about that after the fact. We'll cover a pursuit, we'll see him apprehended, but there's seldom, because there's so many pursuits in Los Angeles, there's not a whole lot of follow-up on what exactly happens to these these suspects, and you wonder how long they sit in jail, and if do they sit in jail for a long time, or is it a quick release? Granted, it's a case-by-case basis, but it's something that is worth pondering as you see how dangerous these pursuits are and how people's lives are in jeopardy. And yet, if they spend a little time in jail, that's probably something that should be examined a little bit closer. But there he is. He's driving now on South Soto Street, Southgate, East Los Angeles. Luckily, though, what we've seen mostly tonight, the streets are pretty wide open, not real busy. Granted, Friday nights are busier than most, but during this coronavirus era, a lot of people are at home, not like normal, where usually on a Friday night, the streets are pretty full. I've noticed that the streets have been largely wide open, which gives him opportunity to really gas it and go, although he's not really moving that quickly here, and we've seen that before as well, where he'll slow way down, go at a normal speed, and then he'll take off. Right now, it doesn't seem like he's really moving all that fast, and you wonder if he's just, 35, 36 miles per hour, which he's kind of blending into the other traffic, although we're not going to lose him. We know what's happening here. His lights are on now, too. He's driving that Chevy Malibu, so I think he's turned his lights on, he's slowed way down, and we'll continue to watch his behavior and see if he suddenly snaps out of this kind of a peaceful phase. But there you see it with the lights on, going down Bandini Boulevard in East LA, Southgate, East LA.
Hey, David, if I can just interject for a second. You're talking about jail time. There was a bill that was passed where it was mandatory jail time for a pursuit. However, with COVID, as you said, we're not holding a lot of people in custody because of COVID. Their attorneys can argue that, and so they do get out. But one of these things with the pursuits is it's monitored by the watch commander. So as you said, traffic conditions are fairly light. So they tend to allow pursuits to go a little longer in a case like this because the public is not being as endangered as if it was really congested and crowded. Plus, his driving behavior right now has slowed up greatly.
Yeah, so maybe he's calming down, who knows, but that makes a lot of sense. The watch commander, he has to make some tough decisions there, and I guess the most important thing is to keep people safe. If they can get through this and get him to give up, I guess that is the ultimate on what your goal is in this, to avoid confrontation, to avoid a violent ending, to avoid a terrible accident. Those are all the priorities here. So he's running at about between 35, 40 miles per hour. He's kind of slowing down here, letting this car go, and then he's taking a right-hand turn on, I guess this is South Downey in Southgate. He's staying in Southgate right now, going very slow, in fact. And while you watch him there, we're going to split the screen, and we'll show you some video of him earlier. So the left-hand side is live, the right-hand side is on video, and you can see his lights are off there. He's going on the wrong side of the road. And keep in mind, a couple of times that he did that, he was really moving. So there he is. And then he makes a really aggressive turn, like he's going to go right, but then he ends up going straight. There he is again. Going through the intersection, lights are off. He kind of sits sometimes on that middle divider, that double yellow there in the middle, and there he is, kind of flowing from one lane to another. And we've also seen him do some aggressive U-turns, like you're seeing right here. And then we've seen some really high rates of speed, 82 miles an hour on surface streets, which is exceptionally dangerous. And we've seen him go on freeways as well. There he is, taking a really dangerous maneuver there through that center island, completely on the wrong side of the road. Yeah, there you see at least cars are moving over to the right and giving him some space, doing the right thing. As police are remaining on the road and lights and sirens are on, at least giving some drivers some warning that something dangerous is coming their way. Bruce, I imagine they're probably content on watching this play through.
Yeah. Hey, David, since we're back to the live shot now, if Air 7 HD pulled out like they just did, it appears that the agency that was in pursuit has gone into a tracking or surveillance mode. I don't see any police cars near the suspect vehicle at all.
And that may explain why he slowed down. So he's probably, I mean, granted, the helicopter is over him. Our helicopter is over him. Not sure if he's thinking about that or not. But clearly, the police vehicles not being behind him have seemed to mellow him out. And that's the whole point, isn't it? When you pull off a pursuit and you kind of shut it down, this is what your hope is, that the hope is that your driver is going to slow down also and create a safer environment for everybody.
Yeah, very much so. There was a study years ago, uninvolved third-party traffic collisions, meaning as a result of the pursuit, other vehicles crashed and people were injured. So agencies really are looking at things like this, shutting down a pursuit, hopefully to calm the suspects down in the vehicle to where they'll just pull over and give up. And that is what we want. That's the end result. No one hurt, no use of force, take the suspect into custody, and we'll do the hours of paperwork afterwards. But that's ultimately what we want, is the public safety.
Which would be a great move here. And as you could see, he slowed way down. There are no vehicles behind him. And maybe that kind of peaceful, well, there is a vehicle now, but maybe that he's turned his lights and sirens off. So, okay, this is interesting. So the police car is behind him. Lights and sirens are off. This guy continues to basically run away, but not at a high rate of speed. Perhaps this is a time where he could kind of contemplate what he's doing. You just saw him turn his lights off. He's kind of in this industrial area that's pretty dark. Maybe he thinks he could slip through here and get away. But there you see, that's the terrain that we're dealing with. Wide open streets. He seems to be circling around the same area, but at least he's not moving really fast. He did turn his lights off, though, which gives us some indication that he's still trying to slip away, so to speak. He's not going to, but at least he's not really moving, which is, and that cut down speed is, that's good news for all of us, 32, 33 miles an hour. So he's just moving along like regular traffic. I don't see the police cars behind him. Not sure. Is that white car, is that an unmarked police car?
It may be. It's a Dodge Charger. It may be some sort of unmarked gang unit or detective unit working additional patrol. You've got another black and white behind that one. And they may have been told, look, you can follow, but do not engage in active pursuit. Code 3, lights and siren.
Well, this is a great example how whatever their tactic they're pulling, by pulling off, this has really helped, at least, because it's really slowed everything down here. And perhaps this guy will, maybe his adrenaline will kind of slow down a little bit, and he'll start thinking a little bit more clearly and then eventually give up. And as you said, you know, who knows what his history is? We don't know who this guy is. We don't know much about the vehicle. Well, I don't. Maybe their resources, they may have an idea who this guy is, right, Bruce?
Yeah, yeah, David. What they've done is they've run the vehicle for wants and warrants. Beyond that, they know about the vehicle. Is the vehicle stolen? Yes or no? Is maybe the person, the registered owner, have some wants or criminal history? Yes. And it looks like here now, another agency, I don't know if this is the same one, looks like they're just following. They're not lights and siren, code 3. They're just sort of following him behind. And the suspect may be on the phone talking to somebody to try to say, hey, look, I want to pull over, but I'm afraid. So what do I need to do?
That's a great point. Maybe he's trying to resolve it as well. And the fact that he is not going so aggressively, perhaps that is a sign that he's willing to negotiate something. Do you recognize those police cars? Could that still be Bell? It's hard to see from here.
It may be Southgate. It's definitely a police agency. It's not sheriffs or CHP. So I would say it's maybe Southgate because we are in the city of Southgate. But the other thing, too, is if he goes back into the neighborhood where this all started, he may be looking for friendlies to help him negotiate this surrender and say, look, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to a friend's house. You know where I'm going. So let's negotiate this.
Yeah, and we've seen that so many times where they just want to get to see some familiar faces to say goodbye or here I am, and, you know, and hopefully resolve this situation. Keep in mind, if you're just tuning in, we do understand that this suspect, when the police pursuit began, threw out a gun from the vehicle. So that's what we're dealing with here, a failure to yield, but then we did see the gun thrown out. And so police are handling this very carefully. He has been really moving, but then he's slowed down in the last few minutes as he continues to stay in the Southgate area. We haven't seen him leave here for quite some time, so it's fairly clear that this is his comfort zone, Bruce.
Yeah, that's correct, David. And also the other thing, too, is you're dealing with an industrial area, nice, big, wide open streets, not a lot of vehicles parked on the streets. So they may be attempting a pit maneuver shortly if the speeds stay low enough.
That's a good point, because the speeds have been way too high. There's no way they could have attempted that earlier. But now that the streets are wide open, there's not a whole lot of people who can get hit by this, and he's not moving as fast. That could be a contemplation. That and a spike strip, I guess those are the two tools that you have handy that you could potentially use if the conditions, you know, are good enough to do that.
Yeah, by deploying a spike strip, he'll run over them. The tubes from the spike strip will detach, lodge into the tire, and let the air out of the tire very, very slowly and safely, so the suspect vehicle becomes disabled in theory. However, we have seen suspect pursuits where they ride on the rims and these vehicles just keep going.
Yeah, okay. That Chevy Malibu there that you see, I think it's either a blue or a gray. Oh, is that a police unit right next to him trying to talk to him?
It looks like it. Looks like they are going to box him in or something. I don't know. This is definitely something that we don't teach.
Okay. Yeah, that seems
now,
a little.
Yeah.
Little.
It's
tricky.
unsafe.
Okay. Yeah, that was an aggressive move. We saw that white vehicle, although we're making assumptions. We don't know. That could be a vehicle. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's a friend trying to keep up with him. But I imagine that's equally dangerous, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we have seen Stringer vehicles that have the electronics on the trunk like that vehicle had. So it may have been a Stringer. I didn't see lights come on, so it may have been that. But it's definitely something that's not taught and not authorized, because the suspect, if he tossed one gun, maybe he has a second gun.
Right, right. So they have to handle them very carefully. So not sure what that white vehicle was, but the vehicle's gone. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I'm going to go educationally and guess it was a Stringer vehicle.
Okay. So here we are on Randolph Street in Southgate, and he continues to move through. You'll notice his lights are back on. He takes a right-hand turn to Miles Avenue. Again, kind of meandering through this area. He's kind of changed the terrain a little bit, seems to be getting more into some it's still a wide open street, but we're getting towards some residential communities and some homes, a neighborhood here. So they have to be careful here, but still another wide open street where he just is refusing to give up, but he's not moving nearly as fast as he was. So here he comes to this intersection of Slauson and Soda Street and Miles Avenue as well. So it's a very large intersection. And he is, you'll notice he's stopping here at least and looking at oncoming traffic. Is he on the wrong side of the road? He's on the wrong side of the road there, I think. Yep, the wrong side of the road. You'll notice he's to the, or is that a one? Nope, he's on the wrong side of the road. He's on the other side, the left-hand side of the double yellow. So he's driving down in a dangerous way down the street, but his lights are on at least, so that gives people a little bit of warning. He's turned now on Seville Avenue, still in Southgate. So he's stayed in Southgate for pretty much the duration of the time that we have been on the air with this pursuit. But keep in mind, when it was really moving, it started in Bell, and Bell police tried to pull him over for a failure to yield. That's when they saw the gun thrown out. And then he took off, and he went all over the place, from Bell to Southgate to Vernon to Huntington Park to East LA to Los Angeles, back to the industrial area now, and it looks like he's kind of slipping through either some back alleys or parking lots. This is Seville Avenue, and there are some people there, some workers there, but he's kind of slipping by these big buildings, big warehouses. Let's see if he goes out of the parking lot. Yes, he is. He's going to go onto the street right over here. He's going to be taking a right. Again, remaining in Southgate, Randolph Street, Rita Avenue, and Randolph Street. There he is. Now he's going the wrong way on this road. So his behavior is erratic, completely on the wrong side of the road now.
You know, David, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, why don't the police just box him in, or, you know, or pull in front of him and stop and create a roadblock? It's not safe for the officers. It's not something we can do. I understand the frustration of the general public, and having been in pursuits, I can tell you the general frustration of officers. But, you know, it is a cat and mouse game, and unfortunately, you have to be very patient and wait it out and look for the resolution at the end of the pursuit.
Yeah, you'll notice the patience of that police officer who stayed on the right-hand side of that road there, that street, and just kind of mirrored him, kind of watched him closely, but didn't push him and didn't stress him out. So he stayed pretty slow, even though he was on the wrong side of the road. But he's kept his lights on, which is a good sign. And he's winding through this neighborhood again in Southgate, off of Clarendon Avenue. He goes to Middleton Street, and he's just wandering now. There's somebody with a light blinking on and off. I don't know if that's a signal or if that's just something. So here he goes down Middleton Street, going to there's a pedestrian there, so be careful of that. Slows through this intersection here, goes all the way across. And luckily, Bruce, it's a very quiet Friday night at Southgate. There's not a whole lot of people out there and not a whole lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace for the officers is they don't have to deal with a lot of cross traffic, a lot of pedestrians, a lot of bicycle riders, kids out because of the lateness of the evening. Plus, with COVID, people are still sheltering in place. But still, it is a pursuit, and pursuits are inherently dangerous.
Yeah, they are. I mean, you know, we talk about how this has really slowed down, and it has, but we have seen dangerous behavior still, and all it takes is 1 second for something bad to happen. So he's at Santa Fe Avenue and Zoe. He's waiting. He's actually waiting. Granted, he's stuck out in the intersection illegally, but at least he stopped at a red light. He didn't go through the red light, and he's got to either go left or right. He's going to go left on Santa Fe Avenue as he stays in Southgate. His speed's still under control. Good news there. But he will not pull over, at least right now. 33, 34, 35 miles an hour, kind of going along with the regular speed limit here. Okay, he's got the red light there. I guess he's stopping at that intersection as well. It is interesting, Bruce. We don't know if he's talking to somebody, but his behavior certainly has changed. So maybe something has transpired to calm him down a bit, which shows maybe a willingness to perhaps negotiate and put this to an end. Yeah,
one of the things, if Air 7 HD pulls out a little bit, it looks like the SUV that was the first vehicle has been swapped out with some sort of sedan vehicle.
Okay.
And also I'm hearing from some sources that they requested the sheriffs, and the sheriff said, we are not going to get involved in this.
Really? Okay.
That's not confirmed, but it may not have met the criteria for the sheriff's department to be in pursuit of this.
Does that happen very often?
There are certain things and factors that do take place. I've canceled pursuits, and we've had conversations with the deputies afterwards, and this is my rationale for canceling it. It's for safety. It's not a crime that warrants jeopardizing the public, the officers, and the suspects' lives.
Yeah, as soon as something really bad happens, and you have to reevaluate why did you do that, and you have to answer for it. And I'm sure.
I can just give you a quick little story. In West Hollywood, years and years ago, there was a pursuit where a guy was driving 90 miles an hour on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Wow.
And I was in pursuit, and I canceled the pursuit. And about 2 minutes later, he crashed on Melrose into 6 vehicles, killing 2 people.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
and he ran because he did not have a driver's license.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That's incredible. So there he is. Yeah. You did see those the black and whites seem to stall or delay at that intersection back there. And when he saw the gap, he seems to have sped up and taken off a little bit. Maybe he's sensing that this is an opportunity to get away, but you could see the black and whites there. They're just tailing him, but they're giving him some space, a little bit of slack, and perhaps, hopefully, keeping him slow. But if the sheriff's department doesn't want to bring this to an end or help them end this and is going to let them take it themselves, does that mean more than likely they're just going to sit and wander with this guy for the rest of the night?
At some point, hopefully the vehicle runs out of gas. Hopefully at some point the suspect decides I've played enough cat and mouse. I'm going to pull over and just give up, or he's negotiating a surrender and he's just waiting for the pieces to be put into play. They may make the request again. There was another black and white sedan, which may have been sheriff's, but as long as he stays in the Southgate area, I don't know if the sheriffs are inclined to get involved in another agency's pursuit in another jurisdiction like that. Okay. Now, if he were to go back into East L.A., that's a different story.
Right, right. It's all about territory and whose jurisdiction it is. So here he is. It does seem like his driving got a little bit more aggressive there. He really kind of picked up the speed there in that last street, but now he slowed down again. He's leaving his lights on. Here we are at 11:32, and we've done the duration of this show with this pursuit. Not a whole lot has happened. The good news is he's not driving as dangerously as he was earlier when he was really moving. Keep in mind, 82 miles an hour on surface streets, so that was exceptionally dangerous. And he went through a lot of different jurisdictions, but right now he seems content in staying in Southgate right now. So it's been a much more mellow pursuit. But it's still a dangerous pursuit because he refuses to yield. He did throw out a gun from the vehicle. We don't know a whole lot more than that. Hopefully, the pursuing officers do know something about this guy. We don't even know how many people are in that vehicle because it's been so dark almost the entire time. But we've been watching him go through largely Southgate, a little bit of Bell, which is where the pursuit began. And then he did get on a freeway for a little while, but then since then he's been back in the Southgate area and just basically wandering the streets. Just to let you know, if you're watching, a lot of things have been going on in Southern California news-wise. You probably heard that Lady Gaga's dogs have been found, 2 of them turned into LAPD. They are said to be in good condition. A woman turned them in, and we don't know yet if she gets the $500,000 reward. We don't know how she found them. We're hoping to find some of these answers in case you're tuning in for that. We are on top of that story, and we're getting you the very latest. We'll have more on Eyewitness News in the morning. In the meantime, we want to see this pursuit come to hopefully a peaceful conclusion as this suspect remains in Southgate, now driving on East Florence Avenue, another wide open street. He seems to be picking up speed again. And Bruce, I don't see the pursuing officers anymore.
Yeah, you know, I hate to use the word lost interest, but it may just be a case of, you know what, this is going to go on for a while maybe. We don't have the resources as a smaller police agency, so we're just going to cancel it and let the sheriff's helicopter overhead go into that tracking surveillance mode. And best result, he pulls over, walks away from the vehicle. They swoop in, they take him into custody.
Right. Okay. So if they know who this guy is, if they think they know who this guy is, and yes, we did get reports that he threw a gun out of his vehicle, but I guess they could pull off of this if they feel like they could find him later on in a safer way.
That's correct. If they can identify the suspect, they can get a warrant for his arrest down the road. They could be waiting at his residence. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of different factors which can take place. So they may already know where this vehicle is registered. So they may already have units just sitting there, just waiting for him to come on back to his house. Good point there, Bruce. And Bruce, by the way, we're about to sign off. Bruce Thomas, retired sheriff's sergeant, thank you so much for helping me with this pursuit. Tune into Eyewitness News in the morning for the very latest and all the news going on in Southern California. Jimmy Kimmel Live is coming up next. All righty. We thank you for joining us on abc7.com and our mobile apps as we continue to stream this pursuit. We believe that this suspect has apparently pulled into a gas station. We're trying to get an idea or a look if he has stepped out of the vehicle or not, or perhaps he's just sitting there. But it's a Chevy Malibu, from what we understand. That vehicle sitting there at the gas station. Does it need gas? And would this guy have the audacity to actually do something about that? We don't see any black and whites. We're looking around right now. Oh, he's on the move again. He did not get out of the car. He did not refuel. And as Bruce Thomas said, perhaps this is a case where they're just going to follow this guy until he runs out of gas. Or they could perhaps pursue him in another way. Nevertheless, we're going to continue to watch it here as he drives through the streets of, I believe this is Southgate. I think he remains in Southgate. And there we go, Southgate on Florence Avenue, and Bear Avenue is where he's going. Now he's taking a right there on Bear Avenue. So he is intent on continuing on with this. That gas station was an interesting stop, but he didn't do anything there except stop and look around. And you'll notice that the black and whites have pulled way off of this pursuit. So they are staying way back there. There you see it. And then you see the night sun
with a helicopter that is nearby but not illuminating the car, at least right now. His lights are on, and that's the vehicle being pursued. There's the sheriff's helicopter going right by. He's taking a right now, also remaining in Southgate. Let's see what this street is. Bell Avenue. So he is on Bell Avenue now, not going too fast. That's Bell Avenue, thank you, Air 7, and San Luis Avenue. And he stopped. There you see the black and whites are coming up on him, and now he's taken off again. Not at a high rate of speed. I was hopeful that he would suddenly decide to stop this pursuit, but he doesn't seem intent on it right now. So the pursuit continues through Southgate, now on Corona Avenue and Bell Avenue. Lights are on. And this pursuit began in Bell with Bell police in pursuit, a failure to yield, but then a gun was seen thrown out of the vehicle. Then the driver, the suspect, took off at a high rate of speed. There you see some video from earlier today. He was really moving, and you'll notice his lights are off, going on the wrong side of the road. There he is taking an aggressive turn like he's going to go take a right, then he doesn't, and he swerves back straight, and he takes off really fast. He's going to go through this intersection right here, no lights, running the red light, and then continues on forward. Clocked up to 82 miles an hour in the Vernon area. And you notice the lights still remain off there on the right-hand side. That's video from earlier. And here he is driving aggressively, then taking a very tight U-turn and going in the opposite direction. You see the black and whites right behind him. Here he is. He's turning into a parking lot now. And it looks like, are they going to try to stop him? And they almost took an aggressive maneuver there and stopped him from getting out. Now you'll notice his speed has picked up. So that little aggressive move got him to move a little bit quicker. He was going up to 50, 60 miles an hour. Now he's slowed down to 47 miles per hour. There you see us clocking it on Air 7 with our Sky Map 7. Southgate is where he remains on East Gage Avenue and passing Carmelita Avenue. Now going at 32 miles per hour, so he slowed way down again, going through a green light, which is not what he's been doing. He's been flying through some red lights, is what we saw earlier today, but in the last half hour or so, he seems to have slowed down. But there you see the black and whites in pursuit, staying close behind him on East Gage Avenue. We don't know much about this suspect except for the fact that he threw a gun out of the vehicle, and so this pursuit continues on. And it's almost been Bell the entire time. I'm assuming that's still Bell, but I'm not sure. It could be Southgate, as Bruce Thomas was telling us, that he could be, it could be Southgate in pursuit. But nevertheless, the pursuit has been going on for the better part of 2 hours now. Hour and a half or so. It's 11:39 in the evening. It's been a quiet night at that on a Friday night on Randolph Street now in the Southgate, and you'll notice the streets are largely wide open, which has been the case for most of the time.
Hey, David?
Oh, you're still there, Bruce? Hi, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, fantastic. I thought you might have wanted to go to bed.
No, I'm a lay down. I'm a night owl. Plus, I don't have to work tomorrow. But the other thing, too, is, he's just playing this cat and mouse game with the officers. Every time they get close, he slows, he pulls away, he slows down, they back off. So it's just a bizarre cat and mouse game. It really is.
Right. What did you think about that close call when he went through that parking lot and that black and white thought about blocking him in and then kind of stopped at the last second? What did you think about that maneuver?
It's not something that's taught or something to do, but you know what, though? Officers, we are human beings. We do have opinions and feelings, and I think there's a little bit of frustration, and I probably would have done the same thing, and you know what? I'll take the discipline down the road. It's not a safe maneuver, but I might have done that.
Right, because this could be a really long night for these guys, and if this guy's gonna be playing games with them like that, I mean, the whole concept or the thought that this could go on for a few more hours, I mean, come on, what a difficult thing. He's going the wrong way down the road, by the way. You'll notice the arrows on the pavement pushing or aiming in the opposite direction. So now he's moved over to the right-hand side. But that was indicative of him early on in this pursuit. There you see the black and whites are paralleling him on the other side of the road. Let's see what happens here, and if he decides that he's going to continue to go straight. You'll notice he went right through a stop sign there. And Bruce, I kind of feel for police officers in this case because this is tough business, and you're right. They're human beings. If they see an opportunity to end this and end it quickly, you know, who wouldn't take that opportunity?
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is you're dealing with, if it is Southgate or Bell PD, they don't have the amount of units that, say, for example, Sheriff's East LA would have. So the drain on their city resources, they're putting calls on hold, calls for service may not be getting answered, and even 911 calls, I hate to say it, may not be responded to because of this pursuit.
Yeah, that is a good point, and that's really unfair to the community, too. They need help, and I'm sure things are happening on a Friday night. And this guy is soaking up resources that they could be helping other citizens. And instead, who knows what his history is or what he's up to. Clearly, probably nothing good from the indication that we've seen, plus throwing out the gun from the vehicle. But he seems intent on continuing to go. And again, staying only in Southgate in the last 45 minutes or so. This is the only place that we have seen him. So clearly this is his comfort zone. My prediction is that he probably is from this area to some degree. We haven't heard anything more about the vehicle except that it was just simply a failure to yield. It doesn't come back as stolen. But of course, the gun situation is what really advances this situation. And you'll notice it's tough to see inside the vehicle with tinted windows. There he is on the wrong side of the road again. He seems content on doing this. He sees those islands, Bruce, and he always seems to want to go on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, it's a tactic. Maybe if I can get another vehicle to crash, the officers will pull off and have to render aid to those people. Or it could just be he's just very unfamiliar with where he's going and he's taking shortcuts on the wrong side of the road. Or he could be impaired in some way, shape, or form, either through a mental disability, drugs, and or alcohol.
We have seen that in the past. In fact, recently we saw a really long pursuit here where it was very clear that the suspect was either under the influence or undergoing some sort of a mental episode, and I think it was the second one. It was the latter part of that. So that pursuit did come finally to a peaceful end, even though it went for many hours, and his family thanked law enforcement for being so patient with him because he was able to get the help that he needed. But that's something that has to be considered. You just don't know who's in that vehicle. Although I will say, the gun being thrown out of the vehicle says a lot, Bruce.
It does. It escalates this into a whole different category. Now with a felony stop at the terminus of the pursuit, yes, guns are drawn, but now your level of security and safety is heightened because there was a gun involved.
Right. Well, as we continue to watch this pursuit, 11:44, 11:45 in the evening, he's on a wide open Bandini Boulevard nearing 3rd Street in Southgate. He just seems to be wandering the streets. There's an indication from Air 7's Sky Map 7 that tells you exactly where he is. It's a wide shot now where you can see the black and whites just kind of following along. He's not speeding right now. He's staying on the right side of the road. That's the suspect vehicle, a Chevy Malibu that has been pursued for about an hour and a half now, perhaps a little bit longer. He just seems intent on just continuing to move, although not moving as fast as he was. Bruce, did you see when he stopped at that gas station? Did you think that he was going to refuel?
You know, that was very bizarre, but I remember years ago there was a suspect that did that who evaded police as they went into a tracking surveillance mode, and he actually stopped to put a couple of gallons of gas in the car, and that, you know, maybe he was looking to carjack another vehicle.
Oh, yeah, and that's another case too. When they get out of the vehicle, watch out. Bad things happen, unless they're giving up, of course. So there he is taking a right on Southeastern Avenue off of Bandini, and he still is in Southgate with some very wide open streets. He's on the right side of the street, some more 38, 39 miles per hour, so he's at least going at a speed that is reasonable and safer, going through a green light there, and you'll notice not a whole lot of traffic on the road right now as we approach midnight on a Friday night. There's a vehicle getting out of the way. There's the black and whites right behind him. He's going to take had to stop there, oncoming traffic. Let's see if he U-turns or he goes across the street. Looks like he's going to U-turn. I feel like, Bruce, that those three black and whites have been behind him the entire time.
Yeah, I would concur with you on that one, David. What I'm kind of surprised is because of the wide open streets and the very light traffic and the speeds have not really picked up beyond what you were saying, is that they have not requested to do a pit maneuver. I would like to believe that one of the three officers in the vehicles is pit maneuver trained, but I'm kind of surprised they have not maybe tried it or requested it.
He's going to U-turn again here. The pit maneuver, to me, looks like a really tricky maneuver. I guess you got to train and train and train to get that thing right, because you got to get right up on the rear and make sure that you got to make the maneuver faster than they can accelerate to get out of your way.
Yep, it's a controlled crash is what it is. You're going to hit it. You're going to hit the left quarter panel or the right quarter panel, give it gas, spin the vehicle. At the same time as the vehicle spins out of control, you have to get out of the way. So it's something that you practice over at the Emergency Vehicle Operations Center. And your vehicle, it has to be equipped to be able to do it with some different grills along the front, too, or you damage your vehicle and incapacitate it.
Right. Okay, so he's going to, let's see if he sneaks through. He's going to take a right here. When you do the pit maneuver, Bruce, is it designed to box him in, or is it designed to make his car stall out?
It's designed to take the suspect vehicle, spin them to the point where the car will either stall or you can damage the vehicle if it's rear-wheel drive so it becomes disabled. Ideally you want to spin the vehicle out, and in cases what we've seen is the law enforcement agency kind of goes nose to nose with the suspect vehicle.
When you do a pit maneuver, what does it feel like on the inside of the car? Do you feel a collision, a concussion of some sort?
Not really, because, there's a little jarring factor, but you're wearing your seatbelt because you're hitting the suspect vehicle on the rear quarter panel, just trying to spin it. So it's like a minor collision, maybe, at like 10 to 15 miles an hour, maybe.
Right. Okay, so he's on East Slauson Avenue. You saw him go over the 710 freeway. Thanks for lighting that up for us, Air 7, as we get an idea on where he is. He remains in Southgate, East Slauson Avenue. He's passing East 52nd Place and now heading towards Woodlawn Avenue. His lights are on. He just seems intent on continuing to move. There you see a good shot of the car. We have not been able to see inside the car at all. I don't know if it's just the tint, maybe it's the darkness. It does look like tinted windows there, Bruce.
Yeah, a lot of people have tinted windows. Some are darker than they legally can be. But yeah, it did look like the windows are tinted. We were able to see through Air 7 HD an arm, so it does appear to be a male. Whether he's a sole occupant or not, we just don't know yet. Okay,
so there he is, staying on East Slauson Avenue, wide open street, as you know, and notice that, as Bruce was mentioning, that pit maneuver, these wide open streets are what is necessary in order to pull off a pit maneuver, but it has to be clear. There's a car coming up, so they wouldn't do it here, of course. It has to be clear, but they also have to catch the guy. If he's going over a certain amount of speed, you can't pull it off, right, Bruce?
No, if they're doing a high rate of speed, it's not safe for anybody to do that. Ideally, you want a slow speed, such as a perfect addition would be if he were making a right turn or a left turn. You come up behind him, accelerate, hit the suspect vehicle, spin it out of control.
Yeah, that would make sense because he's got to slow down a little bit, and also he's gonna basically offer up his back end, and that's when you could pop it and move the vehicle.
Correct.
But you have to be on him, though. You have to be close, and I guess the speeds are moving.
Yeah, you've got to be real calculated, because if he does that, you have to gun your vehicle, hit his vehicle, give your vehicle gas, spin out of control, and then get out of the problem, basically.
Right. Good shot there, and I've noticed the entire time 2 SUVs and a sedan, black and whites, behind him, and it seems that to be the case the entire time. Yeah, these officers eventually could get pretty fatigued doing this, can't they, Bruce?
Very much. You have tunnel vision. Ideally, what would be nice in this case would be what CHP does. You swap out the vehicles. In other words, the lead vehicle drops back, maybe becomes the third vehicle, and they move up in the conga line. And that's so you don't get the tunnel vision. you stay fresh behind the wheel, so to speak.
Okay, so we're lighting it up. South Atlantic Boulevard is where he is. And let's see, still in Southgate, East Los Angeles area. Wide open here, very dark. Is he getting on to something? Let's see what he's doing here. Yeah, thank you. Let's see, what is this that we're looking at? It looks like he's getting onto the 710, potentially getting onto the 710 southbound, I think. 710 southbound now. So now he's going to be on the freeway. He's going to pick up speeds. You could, we'll notice, let's see how he does this next to the other vehicles. All right, so 61 miles per hour. He doesn't seem to be totally opening it up right now. I imagine the black and whites remain behind him. And Bruce, I haven't seen it in a while, but the helicopter is over this right now, right?
That's correct. The helicopter is still calling the pursuit in a surveillance mode. At some point, the helicopter has fuel for about 2.5 hours. I know that the sheriff's helicopter has already swapped itself out once already. But if he stays on the freeway, I would like to think they're going to make requests for CHP to take this pursuit over as they get further and further out of their jurisdiction.
Is there a reason why the CHP would want to take over this pursuit?
Not really. They have to be requested, though. And, you know, the Highway Patrol, that's what they do. On freeways, they manage pursuits. They do pursuits. They're very well versed in it. And so they probably would not decline a mutual aid request unless they did not have the resources.
Right. Okay. So he's still on the 710 South. We've seen him here before. Before we got on the air in Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock, he was on the 710 South as well. That brought him back to Southgate. Let's see how long he stays on the freeway this time. The last time he wasn't on very long. It seems like he didn't feel comfortable getting too far away from what we believe might be where his home is, or at least the area where he knows pretty well, and that would be Southgate. But you can see as you watch the indicators there on our Sky Map 7. He's on the 710 South, near the exit 15 Bell and Florence Avenue in Southgate, heading about 70 miles an hour into the 60s now. Wide open freeway. There's not a whole lot of options you have on the freeway, right, Bruce?
Yeah, that's correct. You're at the discretion of the freeway. There are off-ramps, but for the most part, it's basically just an open road for you to go at your own discretion. I don't know if when Air 7 HD pulled out, if the helicopter is still overhead, they may have turned off their night sun and are just watching it through their night vision goggles. But I don't see the light anymore from the helicopter.
Okay. Well, I just got told by our producers that Air 7 is running low on fuel. They're going to have to pull off of this pursuit. We're going to stay on top of the outcome, so tune into Eyewitness News tomorrow morning for the update on that, as well as a whole bunch of other news that was happening tonight that unfortunately we weren't able to bring you. But the headline of the evening, of course, is Lady Gaga's dogs have been found safe by a woman. We don't know the details of it just yet, but we're trying to gather that, and we hope you'll join us for Eyewitness News in the morning. In the meantime, Bruce Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today. You really helped me out.
My pleasure, David. Have a great evening.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll have updates for you on abc7.com.